BeyerDynamic just brought out 3 new products, and we'll talk about the 2 wireless earbuds in this video, the Amiron 100 and 300. These are 2 very different products, and one of them's a hit and the other's a miss. Namaste, we're DHRME. Difficult headphone recommendations made easy.
We'll start with the cheaper Amiron 100, and there's a common thread across both these earbuds, and that's decent hardware. It's got a small pebble-shaped case and stem-style buds with touch controls. Those touch controls are responsive with minimal lag between hitting them and being registered. And they even include volume controls. Yay! And you get a nice simple app with the ability to customize the touch controls. There's an optical wear sensor, multi-point, and a low latency game mode, and of course the app allows you to toggle these features on or off. The fact that BeyerDynamic included wireless charging on their budget pair is really great to see. The buds have the BeyerDynamic logo embossed on the touch control area, and around the bud you see the name and model. They definitely look nice in the ear and come in cream and black.
These buds are very comfortable to wear for long periods of time, and the fit was quite decent as well. And it's great that you get 5 sizes of oval-shaped silicone tips in the box, above average compared to the 4 tips that we generally see. You get IP54 dust and water resistance, again, a great feature on a budget pair. Although there's no dedicated wind reduction setting in the app, the wind noise wasn't extremely bad. We've seen worse, so these are decent for listening to music in windy conditions. But are the microphones any good in windy and noisy conditions?
All right, this is a mic test outdoors with cars in the background and a little bit of wind, so here's the meter. On the BeyerDynamic Amiron 100, pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, a windy mic test on the BeyerDynamic Amiron 100. Here we go. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3.
The mics were incredible in the wind, and it wasn't a light breeze either. In noisy conditions, they held their own as well. Just make sure you don't talk too softly or mumble. These are definitely up there for calls, guys. For the Fuckman, you get a couple of controls straight from the buds. You can answer and hang up calls, and you can change the volume. You cannot mute or change the ANC when on a call. The default ANC mode when on a call is off. You unfortunately cannot change it via the app either.
Alright guys, are these buds a hit or a miss so far? Because things are about to get dynamic for the buyer. Now on sound, the left and the right channel, there's a bit of an imbalance, and I measured it many times to make sure. That's disappointing coming from a company like Beyer. Now it's not by much, but still, we don't expect this kind of stuff from BeyerDynamic, but these sound good-ish. But there are a few caveats. The overall sound signature is V-shaped with a mid-bass bump and a mid-treble spike. The bass is a bit gloomy and imprecise. Sometimes it's fine. The treble can get a bit spiky, or it can stay good depending again on the track you're listening to. But most of all, I thought the treble doesn't have that much detail, ending up with this kind of smoothened over effect. And there's not much space or instrument separation either. These have a particular bright character, which is really a question of taste, if you like that or not. And there are a bunch of EQ presets in the app that help. But they work better with the Amiron 300 in our opinion. Of course, we'll come to those after this one. The 5-band EQ isn't parametric, but for rough adjustments, it worked for us. We dropped the 4000 Hz band and the 150 Hz bands mainly. Overall, they sound fine, but you definitely shouldn't expect a premium sound experience here. But something that's fine again. The lack of high-res codecs also doesn't help the Amiron 100's case. You can only go up to AAC.
Continuing with the cons. So we tested the ANC and we ranked it at tier D. It brings down the overall noise a bit, but you still hear everything quite clearly. Slightly worse than the Fairbuds in that it lets in more low end. It's fine if you just need like earplugs kind of noise canceling. The transparency is okay, it's at tier C. It just lets in a bit of noise but still suppresses a lot of noise across all frequencies. Not that great, but if you only need a bit of general ambient awareness, then you'll be okay. Luckily, there's no crazy amount of white noise though. And there's no detailed adjustment of ANC or transparency levels. It's either on or off. That's it, which to be honest is fine by us. We never like the idea of tons of sliders. Then there is a bit of occlusion. You know, that feeling of wearing the earbuds and then when you try to talk, you hear your voice through your own skull. Well, these buds have a bit of that. Then the case itself does feel a bit cheapish, not the most premium. The buds also aren't the easiest to take out and return to the case. The battery life did under-deliver the advertised numbers as well. The advertised number was 6 hours with ANC on. We tested it and got 4 hours and 46 minutes. And even though there is multi-point, there is no device list in the app, so you can't actually see the devices the buds are connected to and swap connections, nor can you pull connect from a previously paired device.
The thing that's wrong with these buds isn't the sound quality, and a lot of guys say that that is the primary reason to buy buds, right? Calls are great too. What's really wrong here is the price. $180 for these buds are a no-go from us. For the ANC, transparency and battery life you're getting here, you're definitely paying a premium for the BeyerDynamic brand name. We made a video where we saw way more bang for your buck for under $99. Now that's a list you should check out. If you're someone who really wants BeyerDynamic buds and doesn't care about ANC or transparency, first of all, who are you? Leave a comment down below, say hello. But second of all, go ahead and get these. But for us, these don't do enough. At this price point, there are quite a few alternatives. Big brands like Bose, Sony and Apple have earbuds here, and at a lower price you'll get excellent stuff from Earfun, Soundcore, Cambridge, Nothing, Oppo, etc. The next buds, the Amiron 300 from BeyerDynamic though, is a whole different ball game. Those are the ones you need to pay attention to, just like that subscribe button down below. Much more content coming soon. But now it's on to...
The Amiron 300 is 3 times the number of the Amiron 100. Indian math. But are these 3 times the buds? Well, the matte soft touch plastic texture on the 300 definitely gives you the feeling that you've upgraded. I like the sound of the lid closing, but that lid is a bit thin and we're afraid we might just snap it off at some point. There's still wireless charging on the charging case, but these are bud style and still sport touch controls. And those touch controls are very responsive with almost no lag between hitting them and playing your audio. Those can be customized as well in the app. And if you've noticed, the Amiron 300 gives you 1 extra touch gesture compared to the Amiron 100. That's a single tap and hold. This way you can get all the controls you can possibly wish for. Apart from the wireless charging also being on board, you still get low latency game mode and a wear sensor. The advertised battery life was 7 hours with ANC on. We only got 4 hours and 32 minutes with everything maxed out. LDAC and the highest ANC setting.
But that wear sensor is more advanced on the 300, but also more tricky. Bear with us. First off, the sensor isn't an optical sensor that just senses light, but it's also using a skin sensor of sorts, I feel like. And the app lets you do 3 additional things with this sensor. Number 1, automatically playing and pausing music, which works fine for the most part. Secondly, it can also answer calls if you put the buds in your ears and hang up calls when you take them out. But it's strange, if you have the buds in your ears already and you get a call, you're gonna have to take them out and put them back in to answer. And that's not all, it can turn the touchpad off automatically too. But we found that all these features are great on paper, but it didn't quite work as advertised in real life. Because once you take the buds out of your ears, you hold it in your hands. And I don't know about you, but my hands are made of skin. So sometimes the sensor gets a bit confused. The buds, however, are comfortable to wear for long periods of time, and because of their size, these might appeal to those of you who use buds to sleep with. And it's great that you also get 5 sizes of oval-shaped silicone tips in the box, likely to fit most ears. The fit on the 300 is relatively more secure than on the 100, so we'd be more comfortable wearing these for exercising, and that IP54 rating will keep these buds safe from dust and water.
We tested the ANC on these buds too, and they came in at tier S, guys. The ANC is very good. The low end is cut out well, and if we compare it to the Jabra Elite 10 Gen 2 and AirPods Pro 2, then the Amiron 300 lets in a tiny bit more of the mids like voices. The transparency, also tier S. Excellent transparency mode, letting in the low end and voices quite naturally and loud. Well done, BeyerDynamic. If any nitpick, the overall volume could be a tiny bit louder, but it hardly bothered me. There is some white noise though. An additional feature on the 300 versus the 100 is that you get the ability to adjust the ANC and transparency on 5 levels. You can also choose between adaptive and non-adaptive ANC. And in the app, it will also show you the amount of noise cancelling it's applying in the adaptive mode. Low, medium, or high. Another extra feature is that there's a wind reduction mode in the app. Did it make a difference? a tiny bit. But like on the Amiron 100, the wind being piped in isn't all too bad without the feature too.
What about sound though? You're getting LDAC as the high-res codec in addition to the SBC and the AAC codecs, and volume on my S24 Ultra had enough headroom, so I'm covered for volume. But in terms of sound, these earbuds have character. As soon as I put these on, I can tell you that these are the Amiron 300. Their stock tuning is V-shaped, bit mid-bass boosted and mid-high treble is a bit accentuated. This is a personality I like for some kinds of music, but it isn't exactly neutral. The treble is, as I said, accentuated, and maybe as I'm getting older, I'm beginning to enjoy this compensation for my natural hearing loss, and I didn't mind it. Now, I always thought of Samsung Buds, the Buds 3 Pro for example, as bright, but this has a different kind of accent as the graph shows. More high treble than the lower treble. What does this mean? You'll get a more open sound on neutral or darker recordings, but it can get a bit grating with certain more modern recordings. And with lower volumes, these sound much more detailed. Once you turn up the volume, you are going to want to turn the treble down though. I really like the soundstage on these, quite wide. I thought the attack on the bass was a bit slower than I'd like, but these buds are very responsive to EQ. Unlike many other apps we see, Beyer has clearly given a lot of thought to the EQ presets. Want to turn down the bass? Use the neutral preset. Don't like the harsher highs? Use the smooth preset. It's not V-shaped enough for you? Use the loudness preset. Really nicely done. Other companies, take note. I wish they'd had a better custom EQ in the app. They have a 5-band normal EQ and it's fine, but more companies should take note of Nothing's parametric and well laid out EQ, and especially those with an audiophile heritage, I'd expect. Overall, I like how versatile these are for sound, and they work well with many different genres, but they have a clear personality as well, and whether that's your taste, I'll leave it up to you. I like it. Are the calls a downgrade from the 100? Check out the samples.
All right, mic test outdoors with cars in the background on the BeyerDynamic Amiron 300. Tiny bit of wind. Here we go. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. And now softly. Pop, pop, popsicle. Ice, ice, icicle. Test, test, testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, this is a windy mic test for the BeyerDynamic Amiron 300. In windy conditions, it is pretty windy, guys. All right, pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Not sure what BeyerDynamic did, guys, but they've managed to engineer these just right for calls. They perform just as admirably as the Amiron 100. As a fuckman, you can answer, hang up, and change volume directly on the buds without having to reach into the app, but you can't mute or change ANC when on a call. Now, like the 100, the 300 defaults to ANC off when you're on a call, and you can't change that again with the buds or in the app, but this time there is an additional feature, and that is side tone, so you can hear the sound of your own voice when you're calling. It's just an on and off setting, no sliders, which frankly we are fine with. The case isn't as small as the Amiron 100. It's not huge luckily, but we've seen worse. Again, there's no device list in the app nor pull connect, and there's that BeyerDynamic premium again. What's the price, Kevin?
For a change, a product is more expensive in the US than in Europe. Available here for 249 euros and in the US for $280. These might be on the higher end. The only concern here is the battery life, but you are definitely getting a lot here. BeyerDynamic did well with the sound, ANC, calls, comfort, fit, and packed with a bunch of extra features like a wear sensor, wireless charging, an app, etc. So you could see it was very hard for us to find negatives. Alright guys, that was our review of the new BeyerDynamic buds. We've also tested the over-ear Aventho 300 and that review is linked down below. These buds were sent out to us by BeyerDynamic, but as you've probably heard, we don't pull any punches with our reviews. We call it like we see it, hear it, and feel it. Thanks to our YouTube members and patrons on the Popsicle, Icicle, and these lovely folks on the tested tier, and our two beautiful Fuckman tier members, Paula and Gamma Panda. Your buying's been dynamic, and we've been DHRME. Dewey.